well. Presentation today, we're going to talk about how information chaos is crazy in today's office place and ways that you can overcome them with one of our featured products, M-Files. We have been helping people with their paper and their faxing issues for almost 30 years. Whether you're looking for a solution that's small and that you can scale up to the enterprise, something that's on-premise, off-premise, we have great experts and engineers that are available to help meet with you, consult, and really help solve your paper and your document needs. David Turner. He is a general manager for M-Files, and he is awesome and a very good enthusiast for ways that people can take back control over their data, over their documents, and work in a much better and cost-effective manner. So we'll be kicking off the demo after we do a couple introductory slides to tell you a little bit about M-Files. So the Syscom Services is so excited about M-Files. It's a very unique answer to a very difficult question. People have been wanting to go paperless and do records and document management for years. And in that space, not a lot of people are very successful because there's a lot of different problems that are inherent to an EM, which is electronic content management, or the age that we're in is electronic information management systems. First off, a lot of times they're really confusing and complex to use, which means your users aren't using them. Organizations, we hear the story all the time, spend millions of dollars on different either SharePoint or other different types of deployments, and then their users are still running around them, trying to use things like Dropbox or Google Drive or Box or something on the side because they can't access the documents or work with them in the way that they need to. Part of that's because the information really isn't connected in. So you have all these disparate systems that don't really talk to each other. And then you have an IT staff which wants to present you with the best solutions, but sometimes those solutions are so complex that one size doesn't really fit all for different types of departments. So with M-Files, we have a solution to that enterprise information management system. And we have a very simple interface. We allow users to connect with it and to. M-Files works on any browser, works on the desktop, works on basically any device that you have. We have natively built intuitive apps, free apps. Even if you only have 5 users, you can have those users accessing their files from their iPhone or Android device or tablet, anywhere when they're out on the go. All of your information can be connected. And is really a great piece to the puzzle of how can we talk to, our accounting system and also a CRM system and our document management system. All these systems, when you work, you have to work in all these spaces. Information needs to be available in the spaces as well. And M-Files also works great because it really is scalable. You can only have 5 users to start. We can go on-premise, we can go off-premise in the cloud. M-Files is rated really highly lately by independent analysts, and the most common thing that they all say is that the user adoption is high, and that's because M-Files is very flexible to work with the way that your users are right to work. I'm going to do a deep dive into what M-Files is and all of the features of M-Files. There's a lot of stuff that M-Files can do really great, from version control to various workflows. Lots of great stuff. They have a great CRM solution as well that's baked into it. But what we want to talk about today is just give you a little sneak peek, and if you're interested and want to find out more, we can set up a demonstration that goes really in-depth and personal to what your needs are. But one of the things M-Files is different, and it answers a lot of problems, is people have been trying to move away from filing cabinet solutions, a traditional filing cabinet. But what they're doing is moving from an actual metal filing cabinet to just an electronic filing cabinet. It's not really solving a lot of those issues. Things in different folder structures. You still have to know what things are, and if someone moves it somewhere else and doesn't update it and saves it locally on their device, then another person from that organization might be using outdated information. With M-Files, it's all metadata driven, all property driven. So really, it doesn't matter where something is. We just want to know what it is, and that's what you need to search on. I like to say that with M-Files, the search is similar to like a Google search. When I Google search something, I'm looking for, the business or where it is, document management, Washington, D.C. I don't know what it is or where we're looking for, but I know that that's information about it. And then I can go through and sort through the results and say, yes, that's what it is. It's very similar to M-Files. So everything is based off of what something is, as opposed to having to remember what's the protocol, how do I save this, where do I put stuff. Touching on a couple brief key points of M-Files. Again, if you're interested more, please reach out to us. We'd love to have a further conversation with you. The main thing is, hey, if you're working, you need to access your documents. You need to get them quickly. And it doesn't really matter if you're working on vacation and checking in on your iPad, or if you're working at your office, or if you're working somewhere else and you're accessing a computer in another spot. You need to access it. Once that information's in there, you need to be able to search it and find it quickly. So we'll show you a little bit about the searching techniques. And then talking about flexible deployment. And a lot of customers that are very, very large, that are large enterprise solutions. But also a lot of people come to us looking for a departmental solution. Saying, hey, we're a legal department. We need to keep this information. We need to be able to find it. We have some other stuff, some other systems, but they don't really work for what we need. Great. We can help you out as well. As long as you have 5 users, they could be named users or concurrent users, you can get a cloud, an on-premise solution, or even a hybrid solution. So really flexible for your needs. And with that, I'm going to turn it on over to David, who's going to show us a little bit about M-Files. If you can bear with me, we're going to present our roles.
Okay.
I'm going to go and answer a question. Someone submitted a question asking about compliances for keeping information secure. Has 2 different versions of the product, and they both very secure. They both do a lot of audit logging. They have a special version just for compliances. So if that's something that's very particular, we have that available. They also have encryption. Both documents are at rest as well as in transit. And screen, David, and I'll let you take it away.
Thanks so much. That was a great introduction to M-Files. What you're will today a little bit. We're going to take about the next 15 minutes and give you a short introduction into some of the features of M-Files. A lot more to it, and we could, as Sarah said, we'd be happy to sit down with you in a one-on-one session and do more of a deep dive. But for today, we're just going to hit on some of the key points. So just let me tell you manage M-Files implementation, because it's just another Windows application. So you might have your server or your computer icon and see your vault. That's our repository. Sit there looking just like another drive. So this on your Explorer toolbar, when you save a document, you can save it many different ways. You can drop things and put them onto this M drive, do a file save as from a document from any application, and save it to the files drive. And doubling here on this will also open up your desktop client. So as I said, there's 3 different ways that you can access the vault: through the client, which looks like the Windows desktop client, through a web client and a mobile client. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about the mobile client. The browser client, just let me say, looks exactly like this. And the user really can't tell the difference between where they're accessing their data and where they're accessing it from. So if your vault is in the cloud, it looks like this. If your vault and your data and your files are sitting on your server, it looks just like this. The access to the data remains the same. So in a very short tutorial, the user interface looks like so that you'll know what we're looking at here. It's a very personal experience for everybody that logs into mFiles. And if the organization uses Active Directory, then all of the credentialing that you currently use can be integrated in with mFiles, and you can have sync on so that when you sign into your workstation in the morning, you're into mFiles just like any other application. But we'll open up mFiles by clicking on that drawer. And you might see here on my desktop, the mFiles desktop there. You will see things relevant to you personally when you log in. So the notice is at the bottom. You've got two little indicator bars showing if you have any workflow assignments. So you've got a couple of assignments that have been assigned to me, and they're kind of action. And so you can see here my assignment for each one of these. Here's an invoice that I'm supposed to check and add some information to it. Some other documents that I'm supposed to check and move to the next state. Then all you can see where I document that they're checked out. So because I'm not using it, or I just simply forgot, but mFiles is always going to keep track of things. So to keep version management, audit trails, and tracking, we are on a check-in, check-out basis. One person can check out an editable document at a time and make it to it. Other people will be able to see it in read-only mode and only see immediately by this little icon in the corner that somebody has it checked out. And by simply clicking on it, as you do anything with one click, then you see all of that information that's to check out this document, and you can see it has it checked out. So proposal, and there's all the predefined process Sarah was talking about, or metadata that supports that type of document. So we're going to predefine all of this information specifically for you. Every application that we do is unique to the company, to the user, because your user is going to be different from the doctor's office down the street, from the lawyer's office down the street, from the tax accountant down the street. Whatever your business is, your structure and document types and properties will be different and will be configured specifically for you. There is no programming. It's all just simply configured for you. Then notice when I clicked on this document, that's some information opened up here in the task area in the history of the document. So I'll just very quickly, and you can see that there's 6 different versions of this document, and if I click on any one of them, you also see the preview of what that document looks like here in your history of the document. But it's always going to track who did to every document. And you can't check out for editing any other version, only the current version. But open it up in read-only, you could roll back. So if I clicked on one of these versions, I can't obviously, do it with this document. Why? Because it's checked out. So it's not going to let me roll back. But if I picked a different document like this one here and went to free, unfortunately there's only one version of that document. But if there was multiple versions, roll back and create a new version would be an identical copy of whatever version I chose. Then the thing that you can see here on the screen is things that you have accessed in the last 30 days. So if you're looking for something and you've looked at it recently, you don't even have to search for it. You don't have to go to one of the save searches, which we call views. You just simply scroll up and down the list here and look at things that you've accessed recently. And you have all kinds of file types in here, and supports all files and file types that it supports. As long as you have software on your network somewhere that mFiles can access, you'll be able to preview that in your preview pane. Big pictures, CAD files, PDFs, PowerPoints, spreadsheets. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything can be looked at here in your preview pane without ever leaving the vault using mFiles. So if I click on this PDF here, now I see the metadata, and clicking View tab is going to show me exactly what that document looks like, which was just a test that we created for a demo. Or here's another one that's a PowerPoint. And so that PowerPoint will actually show right here, and we could scroll up and down and look at that PowerPoint. So any type of document that doesn't is can be in your preview pane. So the center section of this whole screen is all about creating views. This is a view of the metadata to group things together in relevant ways. So you have what we call common views. So that means everybody who logs in from your company will see things here that they have permissions to see. So for example, there's an HR view that's highly restricted, or a view that's restricted. But if people have, then they will see these more generic type views. So for example, here's a documents view. So in this view, we have other views where you can see all the documents by class. In view, we have classes of documents that exist in this vault, and we click on there's 10 or 11 documents in that view, and if you hide one simply by clicking on it, all of the same things happen. So anything done, you can move back and forth up here bar, or your arrows back and forth, or you can navigate over here. It's easy. There's lots of ways to get around in mFiles. So a views, for example, is going to give you a list of customers. You drill in to any customer that you want and see whatever exists related. So for this ET, we have some projects, lots of different documents, and you can see that there's a couple of comments associated with this customer. So views are how we will group your documents and your content together in relevant ways, and then the person will be able to create their own views relevant to their job. So will create their views, sales, marketing. Everybody will create their own views relevant to what they do. So, again, not enough time to go into a deep dive, and right over here in the new view creation, we don't have time to do a lot of things. But what Sarah and the folks from Syscom asked me to touch on was how easy it is to save things into mFiles. And I've kind of already touched on it a little bit, but I'm going to minute this here a little bit. Let's make it a little bigger. So if you have something on your desktop and you want to save it into mFiles, well, you can drag and drop it. So there's a TIFF file. That's a TIFF file might come from your server. You can just drop it right onto the vault. The OC module will allow you to convert that into a fully text searchable PDF document. And then it will classify that document with some keys and data. So already editable document, this won't come up. That document will be converted. The property will just pop up like here, where you can classify that document this voice, and it will pop up and go through and create all that. And we just said this is for. So we created the dates are required property. See the little asterisk there? We created that invoice. We've saved it into mFiles, saving and dropping it onto the desktop. And so now I went to my recently accessed list here at the screen, or in this source. You can see that's right at the top. And so there's the voice that we created, and it's got the term Syscom in it. And I could find that if I wanted to simply by typing the word Syscom into my search box, and it immediately finds that same document that we created and highlights that search term. So it has a document that you create other. We'll just save as. Remember I said that works? File save as. There's my file, but on Microsoft Word, I have got it set to just automatically go to mFiles. So I don't even have to select it over here. Simply click the button. Very familiar properties card. Classify this as whatever we want. This is a proposal, and there's the information to support that document. And we just come again in here if we wanted to, and customer, And data can come from a connection to a database externally, which we're not having to talk about today. So save that, and I can just check it in. If I click no here, it won't check in. So now, saved a brand new document into the vault, and I can find by just clicking the box again, because I already had Syscom up there and the proposal that we just saved. Now, with this information on it, the document, that document will show up in other places, right? Like our customer view. If I go to this, sorry, cooperating, and we went to DT Sports down here, and we open their documents, then there's the document that we created. You can see May 7th at 1:24 p.m. So the document can be pointed from lots of different directions, but it's only stored once, and then from that moment, we're only storing the changes. Now, what if I wanted to save an email or M5 with Microsoft Office and so you can, there's an M-Files tab up here, and then you will also see your vault over here on your folder screen or your folder here, but I have multiple vaults since this is my demo system. So email came from a customer with an attachment. If I capture this whole email, I can put it into the vault. And then, as you've seen, the properties card will pop up and classify it. But we will create these smart folders here that hold information on what type of document it is, and I can just put it there. I don't even have to classify it. You can see it's already indicated. That's it. That's in the vault. And come over here and type in confirmation, for example, and it's what I've done. Click search, and all those confirmations. But there you can see today at 1:26 in the email message, and it also found a customer in the database. And right within M-File, I can open up the message, and I can without ever having to go back to Outlook. It's easy to save documents. It's just as easy to search and find documents and emails. But if I wanted the attachment, then I could do the thing with just that attachment. I could drag that attachment and drop it in the vault as well and classify it as whatever I want to classify it as. So we've done some saving, done some searching. We've looked at things. There's an advanced search that we don't have time to go into, but the example I use is when the CFO comes into the accountant's office and says, I need all the invoices for Acme Manufacturing from the third quarter of 2010 that were over $500. And because it would take them days to find that. I could search right here by selecting the class that I want is a vendor invoice, and then the vendor is going to be this vendor from the list, and I could add another row that says time period is this, and a condition on it that says the dollar amount's over 500. Bang. Every vault that meets that criteria. Okay. So now, we can access it from lots of different ways. So since we're on a webinar, I can't hold up and show you, so I've got the next best thing. What it looks like. There's out on, this is my phone 5, and if I have mobile app, it takes me to the home screen where this vault I have, a demo vault that we have access to, and you can see it's showing me that I have some workflow assignments there. That it takes me to the list of those, and I have the top one, and it's then going to take me to the price of that, where I can open the document by tapping up here. I could go down where I viewed it into workflow, which point I could then drop down and this invoice to be paid. But to be done, so if you remember what it looks like at the home screen, you've got the reviews, search, you can look at things you've recently accessed, you can check that out, and you can look at your favorites, which we didn't talk about how you can add things to favorites. But I did look at the views, for example, and you can see it looks very similar to this demo vault that I was using today. Documents, customers, projects, so you can see all the same information from your phone, and links in email work. If you email with a link to a document, because right-clicking on anything in the vault allows you to share it internally by a link, which email, share it internally as a PDF, convert this Word file to a PDF, let mFiles do the work, the email takes about 3 to 4 seconds, bang, it's done. So that's external communication. Internal communication is all via links. If you get a link in an email, you tap the link, open up the map, and take you right to that property screen where you can view the document. Okay, the thing that Sarah and the team asked me to show was some information about SharePoint. So SharePoint is integrated with mFiles from these documents, such as this here. I could publish to SharePoint simply by adding that property. In the letter P, which goes to all my properties, and then scroll down and see where it says in SharePoint site. SharePoint sites that I have access to. So I get to the home site of SharePoint and click. Now I've changed, which created a new version of that document, by the way, because we put the metadata. If you logged into SharePoint, browser here. So here's my SharePoint homepage, and it's going to this and so screen to do pretty much anything that you want. And it's now populating all the information, but you can see right at the top of the list here, 7 at 60, which is what I'm sure it is, because this is an actual SharePoint cloud site. But there's the that I just shared from my vault in my home site. And so wherever is SharePoint, if they click on this document, it's just check the vault and allow to edit it, do what you want to do, but it's being managed directly from mFiles. It's not being stored in SharePoint. So mFiles is managing all of the audit trails and tracking. Display other things, so you can see here's a listing of employees from mFiles HR showing up on the home page. You also hear recently by me documents. So it's how you want that information to show up. So I think, Sarah, so if nothing else, maybe somebody has some questions. I'm going to turn it to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for going through all those things for us, David. And I think we have a couple questions. Here's one question. How is this licensed?
Okay, great. Sure. So it's typically licensed by user type. So you can have users, which is one-to-one, or licenses, which is shared license, which has rights and privileges, full read-write as a named license, but it's a license when you have people that don't need access, typically 4 people probably sharing a license to make it cost effective. And then we have read-only licenses for people that say are going to view things and participate in workflow. And modules like the OCR module for conversion of those documents to fully text searchable PDFs, and a few like reporting and e-signing and there's other things that we can talk about, but for the most part, it's just simply by, and that's whether it's cloud, if it's in the subscription that you'll pay for quarterly, or if it's on premise, you buy the software, you own it, and it's running there on your server.
Great. What's a typical deployment or ramp-up time for this type of solution?
Okay, it's a great question. So deployments, certainly depending on the complexity of the environment, depending on users, flows you want to create, do we have to import 100 files from your shared drive? Do we need to connect some external databases for some of this data? Like you saw, that customer list is actually coming from a ODBC connection to the SQL tables from their ERP or CRM system. So all of that gets factored together in some scoping calls that we'll do prior to providing you with a proposal. And Syscom is exceptional at doing this type of work, and we work closely with them. But I would say average typical implementation for, SMB marketplace that we deal in is going to be in the 5 to 10 day total, and we'll spread that over, probably a 4 to 5 week period, because we're going to work closely with you, the customer, to your requirements, understand what you want to accomplish, we'll get an SOW to sign off on making sure they'll know what we're going to do, and then it's safe to say that once you order the software, probably the go live date could be in 4 to 6 weeks.
Wonderful. And I have one more question that's been submitted, and that is if you could get a little bit more about the OCR module and how that works.
The OCR module is a server-based. It's on the server, and just like you saw when I dragged that TIFF file into Vault, it will do if you want to convert it. If you did not have the OCR module, then the file would just be stored in the Vault as a TIFF file. The value of the OCR module is to use with syncing. When you're documents into a network folder, that mouse is going to monitor that folder and pick up the documents that we see there, convert the OCR module into that fully text searchable PDF, also automatically pick up some metadata, some of those properties, through the process that we call a zonal scan. As long as it is a standard format, so we know where the data lives. Larger scan projects where you have multiple different document types, Syscom is a reseller for Capture, a product that integration with, and it works really well to do large volume scanning. And then they will provide in files directly with these and XML files existing metadata. So it's a great product if you want to do a back file scanning project.
At this point, that's all the questions that have been submitted right now. If anyone has any other questions, please feel free to contact us at Syscom. You can reach us at info@syscomservices.com. You can also find us on Twitter. I encourage you, if you're not currently a subscriber to our blog, to subscribe to our blog. We post a lot of really great articles and videos and run different promotions on there. That's blog.syscomservices.com. And thank you for joining us today.